Hello, and welcome to Together Through It, wisdom from unexpected journeys. In each episode, you'll hear a family share their story, one shaped by an unexpected turn. Sometimes that turn or shift begins with a medical diagnosis, a traumatic event, or another circumstance that no one could have predicted. These are families who once pictured life unfolding one way, only to find themselves on a very different path. Their journeys include challenges and obstacles, but also moments of joy, connection, and unexpected strength. Along the way, they discovered programs, resources, and people who helped their son or daughter, their sister or brother, and helped themselves too. We want to share these stories with you. Our hope is that you not only feel seen, moved, and inspired, but that you also find something here you can carry into your own journey. I'm Angela Paxton, a daughter, a wife, and a mother to two extraordinary young women. I'm also a research professional at a large Midwestern university. I love to listen to audiobooks. I love beating people at Scrabble. I love singing karaoke, and I love spending time with friends and family. Today, I have two very special guests here in the studio. Dear friends of mine, Laura and Bob, welcome to Together Through It. They're going to share their family's unexpected journey. But before we get to that, I was hoping Laura could talk a little bit about how she and I met.
Sure. Well, both of our children were in the functional academics program together in elementary school. Yes. So I may have met her first through there, but we also met and became very good friends through a support group / writing group that another friend of ours started. Now, I know Sam was 5.
Do you remember, how long ago was that, that we met at that group? How old?
Well, Sam was 5 and he's turning 27.
Okay.
So we're talking 22 years ago.
I was thinking only 15,
it was
so 22 years ago.
Now, you weren't in it yet, but I mean, somewhere along the line quickly after.
Yes.
Because you didn't ever come to Theraplay, did you?
No.
That was the initial place, was
I
the
came
horseback
to
riding therapy.
Starbucks.
Okay, so that might have been a year or so.
On the east side, yeah.
But I joined that group, and there was probably less than 10 people, but that was the start, and then eventually met others, and Angela was one of those people. So I forget which the timeline of what came first, but our kids definitely were in the same class, and I know talking to you at the elementary school carnival in time. Mm-hmm. So we kind of were familiar with each other, and then going to that group, it was such a personal experience that we really got to know the people in that group really well.
True. And
kind of strengthened that friendship and bond, and the rest is history. We've been very good friends ever since, yeah.
What I so appreciate about Laura is she might be a little older than me, but her kids are older. Mm-hmm. And so she went through a couple things, both for our older kids and our younger kids before we did. And I was always learning about marching band for our older kids, and then of course learning about some of the programs at school for our younger kids.
That's right. Just a few years
I'm so blessed to have met Laura.
A few years is nice because then you kind of know what's coming down the pike, good and bad. And I was paving the way, and I was always looking for people that were ahead of me.
Learning from them.
Learning from them. But in that writing group especially, I felt like I was one of the older. So maybe I didn't have as many people that were ahead of me in that way. But it's so important to help the people behind you a little bit, just to say, watch out for this, or this is great. It's such a learning experience, and you learn so much from the other parents. I mean, that is so important. So, yeah.
And the group itself, I'm so glad you mentioned the group, because I hope people listening who might need something like that can find a group like ours. It's difficult. You might not be able to find a group initially, but keep looking for those people people that get it. We often say that, people that get it. And I think it's so important to have that support for dads as well, not just moms. I think it's harder for dads to find that type of group. And Bob might want to talk about that in a little bit. But in the future, on a future episode, I hope to invite our group individually, certainly, but invite them to all come, and we'll have a little chat about how important it is to have a support group.
And it's really, I would say, it's so important to realize it doesn't even have to be at all that you all have a child with that same disability, because in our group it was very diverse.
Right.
There was some, cerebral palsy, there was Down syndrome. some syndromes I'd never heard of, and some of them had autism as a secondary diagnosis. It's just finding your people who are taking a different path and who are trying to navigate that, because those feelings, no matter what your child's disability, it's feeling like you're on the outside of sometimes just the community. It's so hard not to feel isolated. So even if you don't know what it's like to have a child in a wheelchair, you know what it's like to be really worried about your child's future and feeling like, I don't have that much in common with my friends that I thought I did now. So it doesn't have to be the same, you don't have to be the same age as those other parents, and your kids don't have to have the same disability, but it's trying to find, that little group. And it can just be you find someone at school, whose kids go to the same, maybe they're in the same special ed class. Just get together, have some coffee, and little by little, maybe you'll find your group. But it
find
was
your people,
one of the most important things, learning and realizing you're not alone and all of that. That group was key to my mental health, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking about that. But now tell us who's with you today. Talk about where you met this gentleman here.
Yeah, my husband Bob is here, and
welcome,
I'm really glad
Bob.
to have
Thank
him
you.
along. Yeah, we have been married for going on 37 years.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Met in college, and just got married, a few years after college, and didn't have our children until about 7 years later. We just kind of enjoying just being married and all of that, and then eventually we felt like, well, maybe there's more to life than just being married. And so we had our first son, and then we had him in 1996, and then our second son in 1999. So
And tell us more about your sons. Tell us about your oldest a little bit, and then we'll talk about your youngest.
Yeah. Well, Danny is our oldest, and he will be turning 30 this summer. And Sam will be 27 in a week. So Danny now he is living in Texas, and he got married a few years ago, moved to Texas for a job and a career change, met a wonderful girl, and has made a beautiful life for himself there. Has a wonderful church community, loving his job. He does data science, and we miss him. I really miss him. Danny and I are super close, always have been. And
it's a little far away, isn't it?
It's very far away. We do, talk and text. I'm so grateful for all the technology, and he stays close with us. And we're going to see him for spring break next week. Right. He comes for Christmas every year with his wife, so we've remained close. And her family is wonderful. So it's as good as it can be, but we certainly do miss having him nearby for sure. But he's a great guy, very generous and kind, and I admire him a lot for so many reasons. He's been a big support to me and to Bob. We're so proud of Danny. So
he's kind of our faith leader. He is so faithful
he does have a strong faith
in his beliefs, and a lot of times he helps course correct us when it comes to things. And you never think about the fact that your children could be your actual advisors or your pseudo therapists, etc. But I've called many a time asking him questions or his thoughts on things, and he just knows how to keep you inside the lines on the road. Is the best way I could put it. That
great perspective.
Yeah, he's super calm, and his faith is so strong. And there's times that I'm just like, Danny, I don't mean to burden him, but he's old enough now, and he's a very strong person that he wants to know what's going on, and he'll just say, well, this is the way I would think about it, and this is just my thoughts. And I just always hang up and text him and say, I am so grateful you're my son, because he's just very wise, and I admire him so much. I'm so proud of him. So we're very blessed.
He is an old soul.
He's an old soul.
He's an old soul, definitely.
And that may come back to, if we talk about later, having a brother with special needs definitely has changed his life. It's been hard and it's been good, but I think it has shaped some of who he is. So that's Danny. And then, like I said, he's 27. Sam has autism. I would say he's on the higher functioning end of things. If you were to ask me, he's verbal. He is intelligent. He can read. He can do his math. He's a smart guy. He's his favorite things in the world, I would say, are trains. He loves trains, has since he was a tiny toddler playing with his Thomas trains, and he still loves to go to see train shows, train layouts, loves to watch train videos. He's also into NASCAR racing. That's been a recent thing. So on Sundays, he likes to watch his NASCAR races. Sam is sweet. He loves his people, but his group of people is small. It's mostly his family. He's not very social.
He loves his technology.
He loves his technology. He loves his, all his things, his phone, his iPad, watching TV.
What does his week look like, or a day?
Typically. So now that, school's been done for quite a while now, he's been out of school for 3 or 4 years. He has a great little schedule. I was always worried when, what is life going to be like when school is over? Because that had been such a huge structure for Sam and for all of us. But now he has a different kind of life, but he still has things that he does. So his, regular schedule would be he still goes to music therapies on Monday, and then he goes to a day program twice a week, and that's a 9 to 3 program on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Wednesdays, he meets with his behavior therapist, who's known him for a very long time, and they work on his social goals or advocating for himself, speaking up for himself, and how to identify his emotions, how to handle his anxiety or his whatever may be troubling him, good coping mechanisms. And then he works at Goodwill both Wednesdays and Fridays. He's been doing that since high school when he volunteered. It became a paid position, and so he does that Mondays and Fridays.
Wednesdays and Fridays.
I'm sorry, Wednesdays, Fridays. Tuesday night, he also does library volunteering where
He's so busy.
Yeah, he sounds like he's busy, but he doesn't like to be Sam does not like to be overly scheduled. So, he does have a lot of downtime. But yeah, he does the library on Tuesday nights. He does really good work pulling books off the shelf that they're going to pull out of circulation. They really value his help there. I don't know if I'm forgetting any of his other activities. Saturday and Sunday are kind of just family time. We usually, Saturdays, go out to lunch together. There's a train layout he loves to go visit. We do that a lot. Sundays, he likes to watch his NASCAR. So, he doesn't have the school structure anymore, but I say he's happier now than he used to be because school was a really stressful place for Sam. The demands, the number of people, very, very overwhelmingly large high school. So, as much as I was fearing, what's this going to look like? Can we keep him busy enough? How will that work with my job, my husband's job? It has really worked out well, and I'd say he's happier now than, he used to be for sure, because school was always hard for him.
Yeah, it's, for us too, it's structure for us to be able to get him to to be able to have him do this, but it's also structure for him, and structure is very important to Sam, and when you cannot spring anything on him without him.
Routines are important.
Without being, without feeling like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm out of my routine. And I'm sure there's a reaction that would come of it if we did that all the time. It's kind of an age-old thing is you can't do this. You try to minimize all the surprises, etc. And that's why this routine seems to work well for him, because he knows what he can expect.
Yeah, he fills out his calendar usually. Like in the beginning of the month, he has a calendar he puts up, and mostly it's the same, but he still writes it down. But when we're getting ready to talk to him about going to Texas for spring break, we started talking about that not too long ago. Not like
end of February, but
yeah, because we knew he'd start to get anxious. But probably about a month ago, we started talking about it. And, he right away, he got up in the middle of the discussion and got to his calendar and wrote it in. That made it real. I'm going to write it down. So he wrote down San Antonio, and I told him we're coming home. And we're trying to work on even, within that trip, what we'll be doing, because, behavior manager always reminds us, the more information, the better. So
and he'll be flying, right? This is his second trip on a plane,
second plane trip. Yeah, we started last year. We went to spring break in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And we did a lot of prepping. We did a program called Autism Soars, I think it's called, where they do It's through the autism side of Indiana, where you go to the airport, they give you a ticket, you go through TSA, you sit and wait at the gate, you get on a plane. Now, you don't go anywhere, but that whole boarding process, all of that. It's a wonderful program. It's free, and it just gets them thinking, because it's really hard to explain what that's like at home. You can show pictures, you can show a video, but when you actually go through it, and you have to put all your things in this thing. Like, Sam has a hard time giving his phone to somebody else. Like, all those things we went through. So I have
TSA.
Yeah, it was
we actually even boarded a plane.
Right.
Sat down. And that was a fun experience. But I will say that when you fly with everybody else, it would never be as loud as it was when you just had all those adults and kids,
people with disabilities and adults who were also anxious. It was very loud. It was mostly happiness, but it was like, it's not like normally people get on a plane and they're pretty quiet. There was a lot going on. It was 100% full flight, but again, it was just getting him familiar with that process. So when we actually flew, he rocked it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great.
I mean,
he was prepared.
He was ready. Prepared. He knew what to expect. Like, you never know. Is there going to be Wi-Fi in the plane? It says it will be, but it may not. So we made sure we had movies downloaded on his iPad.
Or it's delayed, or there's turbulence, or whatever it might happen, right?
So we're getting ready to fly again. And, we chose to fly a little further from where we're going just so we have a direct flight, so we don't have to worry about missing a connection.
Good idea.
All those things. But this is the second time through, so we don't feel nearly as concerned that, we know he can do it. And, we have driven to Texas, and
that's a long drive.
I would not recommend it.
Never again.
We did it when his brother was getting married, and he loved it. He loves the car travel because he's comfortable with that. But, this is part of life, is traveling and, getting to visit family more. So this is our second trip, but always so important to, like, front load
prepare them.
Yeah, just get them as ready as you can and things are going to happen that are unexpected, but if mostly it goes as we tell him, then that's success. And, every time we do something like this, it's a little different. I just feel like it strengthens him, and it strengthens my confidence that he can do these things, because I have a lot of anxiety about how Sam's going to do. So it just kind of ripples. And Bob is my steady rock. He always feels like everything's going to be fine.
Calming force.
So calming. And if I'm free, like, I just always know he's going to take care of us and take care of me if I'm kind of having a moment. So that's the strength of a good marriage, and so important. So grateful for that. Yes, everything.
Well, it's so good to hear about Sam and learn more about him. Yeah. Go back to early in Sam's life. Share that moment, if you can, when you first realized that something was different. His life was taking a different path than maybe his older brother.
So there's about 2 3/4 years between them, and I will say Danny had a little bit of a speech delay, so he did some speech therapy and caught up very quickly. So when Sam wasn't speaking much, I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. Been through this, and, Danny's doing well. So, I'll go back. Okay. Looking back, I will say that when he was born, he cried a lot, and even the nurse at the hospital said, this one's a live wire. And I was like, great, but I was like, oh, that's okay, he'll settle down. But he had, some people would say it's colic, but he cried so much. I had to just put him down sometimes, not because I was going to hurt him, but just because I was like, there's nothing I can do. He's just going to cry. None of the normal soothing techniques like driving in the car, bouncy seat with vibrator, none of that really worked, to the point where I will say I went to the doctor when he was, I don't know, maybe let's say 6 weeks old. And I took notes, and I wrote to tell the doctor, if he's not sleeping or eating, he's crying. And that's really true. He cried a lot. And Angela, you'll appreciate this, because this is a big hallmark of people with babies with autism, but that I wrote, is it possible he is blind? And I wrote that because I felt like he wasn't making eye contact with me. And
thank you for saying that. That's a really big trait, right, of autism. No eye contact.
And I mean, I was so early to notice, but I remember that I wrote that down. And the doctor said, well, I'll check his tracking. And he's like, no, he's fine. His vision's fine. I was like, okay. I just was looking for some explanation.
You knew something was going on, maybe.
Something was going on, but back then, they're like, oh, he's colicky. And at 4 months, I remember it switched off, and he stopped crying like that. He was smiling, he was laughing, giggling, and I was like, okay, everything's fine. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't that worried then, but, it was just like, wow, this is really hard. I thought, we'd have a second baby, just kind of slide into our routine, and that was not the case. It was very tough. So fast forward to when he should have been talking more, and I felt like he wasn't. So I was a little concerned about that. And then it snowballed into just very noticeable social deficiencies. I had organized a neighborhood play group, and, Danny was fully in, and I noticed Sam did not want to be around the other kids. He wanted to leave a lot. Sometimes he would full out cry. I think he was very overwhelmed. And it was really hard because I was like, I just started to think something was wrong. And I remember, I don't know. I felt like it was before, at least maybe we didn't have a computer, but I went to the bookstore and I would sit on the ground with all these developmental books and read. Barnes and Noble, sit there and try to read about developmental and like, what if your child's not talking? What if they're not social? And I was seeing autism and I'm like dreading the word, praying that it wasn't. Anyway, it was just very unsettling. So I had a feeling something was wrong, but then he would have a good day and be like, well, look how he's kind of playing with somebody. And then I'd be like grasping on that hope, like, you know what, I'm going to look back and think, you were so crazy to think that. We went to his, I would say his 2-year, 18-month appointment maybe. And I remember the doctor, like, he was crying a lot through the whole exam. And she was getting through it, looking, just doing the whole physical exam. But I remember that she wrote on his chart and didn't say a word to me, but I saw it, and it said PDD-NOS with a question mark.
Yes.
And I was like, I think I had seen that in my little research, but I remember thinking, why isn't she saying that? I think she just was writing it down for the next appointment, that to remind herself to like look for other signs maybe. But I was very...
Can you spell out PDD-NOS?
It's pervasive developmental disability not otherwise specified. So it means that basically something's not quite right, but we're not ready to call it autism.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be thrown around a lot. I don't know now whether they do that so much. I think they're better at diagnosing, but
I think
then
the spectrum's a lot bigger than it used to be as well.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that they've done much better at diagnosing and looking for those early signs. But I remember being kind of baffled about why she didn't say something, but not to the point where I called back and said, I saw this on his chart, because I was so scared, I think, that I didn't really want to think that it was that. But I was definitely starting to feel like something is not right. And so it wasn't like a day, it wasn't a moment, but it was a general intuition. And, I would talk to Bob, and it was not that he wasn't seeing these things, but he was definitely more of the, let's wait and see, let's not panic, that kind of a thing. So then I would cling to that, like, yeah, you're right.
Right.
We did go down to Riley Hospital for an informal evaluation when Sam was, I would say, 2.5. And they also gave me the PDD-NOS because they just didn't see enough of, they're like, well, he's not, they asked me a lot of questions. Is he banging his head? I forget all the things. Is he rocking? No, he's not doing that, but he's also not playing with other kids. He's not picking up words very much. He's not interested at all in what his brother's doing. And that was very concerning, because I had friends who had kids about the same age, and they're like, the little one will not stop following the big one, and he's always saying, leave me alone, I want to play with you. And I was like, Sam never follows Danny around, doesn't have any interest. He's in his own little world.
Bob, do you remember that time? And I heard what Laura said, that you were very supportive and positive, but do you remember a time that, wow, you noticed this is different than your older son?
Well, kind of the same hallmarks that Laura was talking about. I remember going down to the park, and I would take the boys down to the park every once in a while, and Danny would want to go on the slide and stuff like that. Danny was probably about, 4, I guess, at that time, and Sam was around 2, whatever. Yeah. But, Danny would want to go on the slides or whatever, and then Sam would just want to, like, look at stuff on the ground or pick stuff up.
Play with mulch.
Play
mulch
with
on
mulch,
the slide.
Yes. He would put mulch on the slide and let that slide
go down the slide.
And he liked the motion of it. And I will say, I have experience. I have a family member that had special needs, one of my siblings, and so I didn't see that as much. I mean, I didn't look for it as much, I guess, because I saw Danny develop kind of out of some of his early deficiencies, and in all honesty too, being me, I want to fix everything for Laura and make sure that she's good. And so I took a lot of cues from her specifically, but I did not see as much, of course, because I'm also out of the house more of the day than not. So.
Mm-hmm. Let me just go back,
sure,
if you don't mind. So we went to Riley Hospital, got that big appointment, and kind of came away still not really knowing. They said we need more time to watch him or whatever. So then I don't remember how, but I found out about a different doctor who just had a private practice. I made an appointment with him because I just felt like I needed another opinion or whatever. And this is what I will say was the moment that we knew that all my suspicions and all my worries were validated. Is that it's kind of funny, but Sam was, I think Danny was not with us. He was probably at school or something, but Sam was with us, and me and Bob, and the doctor walked in, and Sam was laying on the ground with his Thomas trains, tracking those trains in front of his eyes, not like imagining things, but doing that tracking, which now I know is a big sign. And the doctor walked in, he said, hello, introduced himself. He said, tell me why you're here. And I said, well, I need someone to tell me my son has autism. And he said, of course he does.
Oh, wow. Okay,
maybe
just rip
people
off
like,
the
oh, it's not
Band-Aid.
exactly a great bedside manner, but I mean, he is, I mean, we still see him as still very matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And I was ready to hear it. And I remember that was February 9th, because it was the day before my mom's birthday, and Sam was going to be 3 in April. So we're getting on 3 years old. And it was, he was very matter of fact. And I was like, okay. And I remember leaving that appointment having an odd sense of relief, a little bit almost like excitement, like, okay, now we know. I'm not crazy. I don't have to keep researching anymore. I mean, I'll always be researching, but, wondering if it's true. And we have a path, sort of. I mean, he didn't give us the handbook, but I felt like, okay, at least now we know kind of what it is. I remember telling like some of my friends that were in the play group, I just felt good about having like moving to the next step, I guess. So that was like a really big turning point. But of course, that honeymoon period quickly wore off. I don't know what I was so excited about, because then I was like faced with the reality. But I remember just feeling good to be validated.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember we were walking out of that appointment. It was just this sense of like, thank God somebody told us. Mm-hmm. Because we're sitting here thinking we're crazy. Yeah. I'm holding on or clinging to some hope that this is just some anomaly. And total credit to Laura. Yeah, total credit to Laura. She's like, no, there's something. Mm-hmm. We got to get this done. Right. But it's like when you know something, it's I'll liken it to something that I go through. It's like if you apply for a job and you're saying you're waiting for a job, and nobody's telling you anything. It makes you more crazy than if somebody came to you and said, well, we interviewed all the candidates and we're sorry, we're going to go another direction. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there, you're like sort of for a moment sad that you didn't get the job, but then all of a sudden you're just like, thank God I know something.
Yeah, right. An answer.
So,
So yeah, that was a big moment. I remember calling my mom, my sisters, I'm sure my brother too. I just don't remember, but. And, like, not looking for anyone to be like, I'm so sorry. It was like, no, this is it. Like, now we know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I felt very empowered, I think. And that's important. It's important to have knowledge is power. And then we, even though I didn't know exactly what to do, I knew then, like, okay, now we were backtracking. We did have Sam in First Steps. And back then, I don't know how it is now, but back then...
Talk about what First Steps is for our friends that might be outside of Indiana.
Sure. First Steps is like an early intervention program for any children that are considered delayed in some way. So you do have an evaluation, and then they determine, okay, you qualify for maybe speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. And back then, at least, they came right to your house. Really nice therapists. They brought their bag full of toys. And so that was happening before Sam got diagnosed, but he was delayed enough without knowing exactly what was going on that he qualified. And it was helpful because it was good to have people come in and I could watch how they played with Sam. They told me that, well, the people that were running that program told me, it's going to be great. You can go off and do your, chores while they're working with him. Well, Sam... being that he was so anxious, I had to sit with him on my lap to help him play because he was so anxious about who these people were and all of that. But they were very kind, and it was good to see how they played with Sam. So, like, how to encourage him speaking and the repetitive things so that he would pick up on certain words. So we were in the middle of doing that. I would say he qualified for that probably when he was 2. and then we got the official diagnosis. But First Steps was a really helpful program. I always, we would never know where Sam would be without some of these interventions, but I felt like the earlier the better. So I was glad he got diagnosed as early as he did. Some kids don't get diagnosed, especially if they're maybe more of an Asperger's type situation, till they're maybe in school. And it was good to have that intervention and that knowledge as early as possible. I wish it was even earlier, but First Steps was a great program, and they were the ones that explained to me, I think it was them, but anyway, that Sam could go to developmental preschool. So
that happens at 3. So people that are listening in your state, look for that early intervention program. It's from birth to 3.
Right.
And then, yes, with an assessment, then you can move on to the school system at 3 or developmental preschool. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and that was, he didn't get to go until he turned 3, so that was April. But for 2 months, April and May, they even had a bus, but I think in the beginning, at least, we brought him, because I was like, I can't imagine getting on the bus.
3-year-old.
But I remember going out to Panera with Bob after we brought him for the first time, and the teacher was very nice, very much like, I got this, this is nothing big, no matter what happens, we do this all the time. We went out to lunch together, and I was like, wow, there's people that can help here. It doesn't have to always be on us. And just having a few hours to ourselves was amazing. So he also did go to developmental preschool for several years, and that was great because was it every day?
I don't
think it was every day.
I think it was other days, but you want to tell her the first day he was supposed to go to developmental preschool, what day that was?
Oh, that was regular preschool.
Oh, that was regular preschool.
Well, yeah, we tried to put him in a regular
preschool.
The preschool Danny went to, which a mother's morning out at a church.
Like at a church, yeah.
And the very first day, for Sam at least, I think Danny had started maybe a week before, but Sam's first day was 9/11, 9/11. And it was already a stressful day. Yeah. Sam did not want to get out of the car. They had to peel him out of his car seat in carpool. And before I even brought him, we saw that plane hit the tower.
Right.
And I was like, what is going on? But, we're going to stick to what we said. We're going to bring him in. We're watching, on TV as he's at preschool. I get a phone call. Sam's having a really hard time. We have him in the director's office doing puzzles, but we think you should come get him. So right when we're leaving, the towers are falling. We show up. We're crying because of the towers falling. They're saying, it's okay, Sam's all right. I'm like, I'm not crying because of Sam. I'm crying because the towers just fell in New York. It was a crazy day.
Very emotional.
There's a lot happening in one day. It was crazy. But he did not last in that regular preschool because he just couldn't, he couldn't handle the socialization. He was not able to just be in the classroom, sit in a circle. We pulled him out pretty quickly. And that's why when we got to developmental preschool, I was so happy that there was an option because it was a small class size, a well-trained preschool special ed teacher, and he did fine there. He did well. They didn't, they never called and said, "Oh, this is not working." So, I feel like I'm all over the place, but I just sometimes forget how it all evolved.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk more about resources. So you've talked about First Steps, early intervention. You've talked about a little bit about the intro into special education in the school system. Yeah. What were your some of your favorite or the resources that helped Sam the most?
Well, for Sam, our timing was amazing in that we were able to get on the family support waiver, if that's what it was called. I forget what it's called, but anyway, back when
it does change names over time.
Yes, it does. But we got on that waiver. We never were on a wait list. When that came out, Sam had just been diagnosed. That was the importance of having a diagnosis, because without that, he would not have qualified. You needed to have, at least back then, I think, the autism diagnosis, and our doctor, that private doctor we found, gave us that. That opened the door to him getting on the waiver, which opened the door, and the waiver waives the parent's income and just focuses on the child's need for services. And so through that, he was able to get the waiver and his Medicaid. And the waiver is what opened the door to some of the therapies he's still doing now. Certainly behavioral therapy, music therapy.
Hippotherapy.
We did hippotherapy.
Oh, wow, you did that as well.
Yeah, we did that at therapy.
Tell our audience what that's about.
Yeah, hippotherapy is basically horseback riding therapy.
It's pretty cool.
It's really cool. There's lots of things I loved about that. I used to ride horses when I was a kid, so I loved that. I also loved that I always had to bring my older son along, and that was the only therapy that we went to that he really excited about, because once Sam got started, we'd take carrots and feed the horses, and, it was just, it was really fun, really. And they just would, did some therapy in the room, because I think it for Sam, it was OT and then getting on the horse, so it was half and half. I love that. Eventually, I forget, we just stopped doing that. But that waiver opened the door to so much support. I mean, behavioral therapy was so important to learn about how to help Sam, with his social needs, and help our family with behavioral situations. It was just a lot.
It's not just for the child.
It's not just for the child.
The whole family.
It's the whole family. We ended up getting into music therapy. I just tried it on a whim with Sam, and I thought I could hear him crying and yelling, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. But then that therapist was smart enough to pull out her iPad, which is always, you bring out technology, and Sam immediately is interested. So they did a lot of stuff on the iPad, and that de-escalated any anxiety he had, and he still does music therapy. And it's really just about the interaction between the therapist and your child. It may be, it's different kinds of therapy, but it's really just the avenue they use to connect. It's those connections they make. So Sam still does that, but I would say getting on that waiver, I remember sitting in a room with some of the people that ended up being in my support group, but we were all just trying to figure out what we're doing, sign this, sign that, and then we got this amazing amount of support, financial, through the Medicaid waiver or through the Medicaid, and just kind of a path. And then just by going to these therapies, sometimes you would meet other people and find out what they were doing, and we still have that. We still have that waiver. It's always being threatened to be taken away or cut.
They changed the name of it.
But we've had it since Sam was 3, and we got a respite worker, and that was great. We had
behavioral therapist too.
But just someone to take Sam out and provide
have
some
staff,
respite for
in
us.
addition to the family.
Some staff people that were well trained, and Sam was such a little guy, but they would take him and do fun things, and then we were able to spend time just with our older son. And that was really important because it was hard, I'm sure. I know it was hard for us, but I think it was, it was just nice for him to have that total parental focus from us and not have, the distraction of what was working for Sam, what wasn't. We need to leave early. This isn't working for Sam. It was so nice to just have some time with just Danny. So that the staffing was really important. Nowadays, it's very hard to find staff, and that's another whole story. But back then, I would say the waiver was huge. Developmental preschool was huge. I didn't go through some of the other avenues. Some people did all sorts of therapies, like maybe a hyperbaric chamber, or we did do some ABA. I never had staff to do that. I did it myself, but I went to a lot of ABA trainings, and I did feel that really helped me to learn that I need to start where Sam is and then look for the next step and build on that.
Really small steps, right?
Small steps. Just I used to have flashcards with pictures maybe, so get him to talking about names of animals or whatever, just getting him talking. And it was non-threatening because it was just me and him, but those things really gave me hope. We chose to that doctor that we saw that gave him the diagnosis really suggested that we try some medication with Sam. A lot of people, I didn't really talk about it much because I think it would have been controversial, but the doctor felt like his anxiety is what's preventing him from speaking, from interacting so much, and all of those things. We started him on a really low dose of an anti-anxiety med, and I will say that it was a tremendous difference. It was positive. I hadn't told anybody. We were still seeing the First Steps therapist, and I remember, because I was sitting with him, they were always trying to do like Itsy Bitsy Spider with him, and all of a sudden, like within a few weeks of that medication, he started doing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. And I had a list of his words, and I could not keep up anymore. It was just, it blew up.
Amazing.
And it wasn't like he was speaking in full sentences, but I really do feel like that medication was a game changer for Sam. It just...
And medication isn't for everybody, certainly when the child's very young.
Yeah.
But it's, as one doctor told us, it's a tool in your toolbox.
Right.
But please, people that are listening, please talk to your doctor about an opportunity to perhaps medicate the child versus just therapies and other resources.
Because
it can be helpful.
If their brain is wired differently, just like someone that is an adult that has depression or manic depression or anxiety, I mean, it's, if your brain is different, there's nothing wrong with helping it through chemical. I mean, I was a little nervous about it, and I thought if we don't see anything or if we see any horrible side effects, but it gave me so much hope because I realized he's in there. and he is just having a lot of anxiety. And if we can help him with that, we're going to see, great improvements. And the better he can communicate, the less frustrated he's going to be. It was all good. And that's, that was a big point where I started to have more hope that, there's a lot of people with a lot of different interventions that can help us navigate this path. And we're not in it all by ourselves. The friends we met, therapists.
Talk about that. You mentioned friends. Talk about the people that were a support to you on this journey, both of you.
Yeah. Well, for me, definitely the people I met in that support group, the moms, still my dearest friends today. Ugh.
Okay.
Yeah, everything.
There's tissues right there, Laura, too.
Yeah.
It's emotional. It's emotional.
It's emotional. I mean,
they are a great support.
They are. I mean, we moved here from Bob's job, didn't really know a soul. I met some nice people in our neighborhood, but then we had the diagnosis, and it was very isolating. And those I met a lot of people, but in that group especially, we shared very deep, hard things. We had a topic, we'd write about it, we'd share, we'd cry. We'd realize we're not alone. Like, it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry sometimes. Why my life took this turn, and all the feelings we had were validated. And when you share that kind of deep, deep, deep stuff, that bond is so strong. And like I said, all different kinds of disabilities in the families, but those friends have become my family. And I still don't have family here, but the very, very dearest people that I can so much depend on. I can't tell you what a difference, more than any doctor, any therapist I ever met. Those friends made this path bearable.
They get it, they understand.
And doable, and we laugh. I mean, no one else can laugh at my kid, but if we can laugh at our own kids, I mean, they know all our little quirky stuff. It's a huge gift. I mean, find your people.
Bob, talk about people in your life that have supported you on this journey.
There's just a comment back to Laura's, and that is that the people that she met are the ones that they can laugh at themselves as well. Now, don't go outside that group and laugh at my kid. You're spoiling for a fight at this point. But you guys are special. And I will say that it's you ladies that are part of this group that also have helped us, because a lot of times, me as a husband and as a man, I want to be a problem solver. I want to take care of everything that gets taken care of. I can't do that. As good of a listener as I can be, I can't always be the best listener. But you ladies, are so supportive of each other. It sort of takes some of the pressure off of me as well. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned earlier, I have a sibling with special needs, and so it's hard because I had that same kind of isolating feeling when I was just growing up, because it was always, you need to do this for your sister, you need to do this and other things. And I had two parents who both worked, so there were a lot of things that we had to take care of. So it was a very small, close-knit family. In the sense of the fact that you all had to circle the wagons around what your sister's needs were. I have taken, I guess, and compartmentalized that part of my life. Friends of mine that I have now, I have friends that I've known for 30 years that we still get together. They all live in Atlanta. And subsequently, I've kind of latched onto their friends who are friends from even here in Indiana and in Kentucky, etc. But I get together with them. I try to as much as possible. But they don't have anything to do with this community. But it's also, sometimes it's a way to do something and get away for yourself versus being a part of this. Mm-hmm. I can really only say that, here within knowing you guys, I've gotten to know such a good friend base, such as your husband and our friends locally. While you guys are much more friends, I enjoy every time I see all these guys, and it just becomes something fun when we'll meet together and do something, whether or not it's doing karaoke or it's or just, even visiting.
Bob and Laura have a
randomly.
wonderful Christmas party every year that we look forward to. And we all get together, and that's a nice, fun
If you walked in the room, you'd never be like, well, these people have special needs. You'd be like, well, special needs children.
These people have
special needs.
They're drinking like they have some special needs children. But I mean, we just have a really good time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think the guys, if they get together, would be talking about their children so much, but we all know each other's families really well, and we know, like, when I come home from seeing you guys, I'm like, I always update them, how's everyone doing, and how's so and so doing, because we know where our kids are and what's going on, and we would be there for each other anytime. So I mean,
and I will say this, and that is that a long time ago, Laura and I kind of understood our positions or places, and so I work somewhat of a stressful job or throughout my career. It takes long hours, and there are things that I need to do, and sometimes I need to be out in the evenings, or I need to go out of town, stuff like that. So a lot of that time gets taken up, so I don't have as much time to socialize, or I haven't made as much time. As we get a little closer to slowing down in life, I certainly will be able to do that, and I'll probably be able to be more interactive, especially even with just my own wife. But that's that's kind of what's driven everything is work, and then certain friend groups, stuff like that, and and just the day-to-day of trying to meet Sam's needs as well. So
and I'll just speak a little bit on to family. We moved here when Sam was, the day he turned 1 year old was the day we arrived here in Indiana from Atlanta. For Bob had a job change, or a job transfer with Coca-Cola back then. So we still don't have family close by. The closest we had back then was a sister in St. Louis, and that was great because it was only 4 and some hours, so at least that were someone we could drive to. But when Sam got diagnosed, of course I shared it with everyone, and my mom was a big support, very concerned about that. Not something she was very familiar with. She lived in South Carolina. All my family was very supportive, but it's still very isolating, because I think especially, I don't know, autism is a little tough, maybe more tougher than others, because Sam was not easy to interact with. So when they tried, I think sometimes it was hard to know, am I going to set him off? What's the right thing to say? What should I play with him? That sister in St. Louis, we would visit quite a bit because she was close, and she always made such a great effort to connect with Sam. Treated him just like he was any other kid, which he was, but she didn't feel any kind of intimidation by him, and she'd just meet him where he was, and it always gave me hope to watch them play together. And sorry.
She is truly a blessing.
Yeah, she has gone out of her way consistently to make sure that when both of our kids were little, she would watch both of them while Bob and I would take a little trip. And even now, like just in the last few years, we went to Aruba. Danny had moved away by then. We can't take, we can travel with Sam, but, you need time just to be with your spouse. Yeah. You need to reconnect sometimes and just have some fun and remember why you got married, why you love each other so much. And she has always made that effort, even when she moved, and they left St. Louis a long time ago. And Sam feels really comfortable with her, and I'm so, so grateful for that.
So they Laura and her sister look somewhat alike.
Yeah.
And I just remember, I think part of it was that Kathy looks like Laura a lot, so maybe there's just a comfort level in Sam.
He called her mom when we would leave, and the bus driver back then, I think that was when he was maybe going to developmental preschool, very early on.
Yeah.
He was like, it took me a few days to realize that wasn't even you, that was your sister. But Sam would call her mom, and it was really, really sweet. And they still have a really nice bond, and so, so grateful for that. She's just always been very encouraging, and my whole family has. I'm not saying that nobody else has, but I think it was just the proximity and that bond she made with him early on, and the commitment that she would continue to try to help as much as she could. And she's just always rooting for Sam and always there for us. Can I help? Do you want to take a little trip? And you can't put a price tag on that kind of support.
You can't teach that.
You can't teach it. It's just,
find those people in your life.
Right.
They can really
and
support
appreciate
you on this journey.
And try to do that for others when you can. It's really hard because you have your
back.
own needs, but it's just making that a little bit of an extra effort. So, family's always been really supportive, but it's hard. Like I said, Sam's a little hard to connect with because he's not very social and he is not super conversational. He can certainly talk, but he's a little hard to connect with. And if you don't see him very often, I see my family, here and there, but once a year for sure, we have a big family reunion. And, Sam enjoys it, but he doesn't really want to be in the middle of a big gathering either. So, I'm just saying it's difficult, and I think everyone does their best.
You take it for what it's worth. Like, so we'll go, when we meet, we usually meet in Hilton Head. So Sam has his safe place, which is our condo, and everything is fine. But when he goes to the beach, he'll come down to the beach. He loves the water. He and I end up floating for a while or doing whatever in the water. But he'll come back and he'll sit within a group. And normally, if you know Laura's family, there could be up to 30 people, coming to this. But, there might be a big group, yeah. So there might be 6 or 7 people sitting down, just talking at the beach, and Sam will sit there and he'll be patient, but in his mind too, he's like, "Oh, I'm done with this."
I can feel him sometimes staring at me, and I know he's
can I go now?
Because he wants to go back to the condo because it's right by the beach, and he knows where we stay now. So he does a good job, but he's like he wants to go back. So.
But the good news is we've been doing this for 30 plus years, and we know this property. He knows this property, so it makes for a really good vacation spot for us because the fact that we can actually allow him to just go back to the condo. Normally it has a number block on there, so you can just punch in the numbers, get in, close the door, and
he texts me when he gets back.
And he texts me when he gets back.
That's his happy place.
He's happy. He's gonna have his lunch. He's gonna watch his TV. He's gonna get changed. And then, he's never like, when are you coming back? He's like, whatever, he's happy. So, I mean, it's like, we've come to at peace. Like, it's not what we dreamed of in a family vacation, but it works. And we're grateful that we can do this. And, I'm happy that my family likes to go to the same place every year, because if it was a different vacation every year, that would be really tough for Sam. But
Sam knows and expects everything, whether or not it's the drive down.
It's about that routine, right?
He's familiar with the routine. There's certain places we go to eat. Just all of it. He's just really familiar with it. And anyway.
So funny. So when Laura and I travel every once in a while, it's like, what we want to do is crazy, because we don't do crazy. We do routine. So
I know.
Makes everybody happy.
That's exactly, If Sam's not happy, I'm not going to be happy. So I try to keep Sam, really comfortable and happy, because the better he does, the happier I am. And we both are. And then if I'm happy, then we're all happy. So,
When mom is happy, everybody's happy.
That's right.
That's right.
So let's start to think about closing a little bit. We could talk so much more, and I want to invite you back, I think, because we could talk about other things.
Sure.
But think about what message. Think about the listeners out there today that might have similar experiences, maybe a new diagnosis. What message or piece of encouragement, advice, what would you like to share with families that are listening who may be feeling overwhelmed or uncertain about their own path?
Okay. Do you mind if I start?
Of course.
We're looking at 25 years now with Sam and diagnosis. And 25 years ago, and this is kind of tying into what I was going to say with Laura before, but 25 years ago, there was not anything on autism. I don't want to call us, we're not trailblazers, but we certainly, you certainly have seen a lot of research done and a lot of advancement on autism. What I would say to people is, you're having a child with autism is not a death sentence to your life, to your marriage, to anything else. And I know it's going to be stressful. There's no question. There's always going to be stress. But one of the things that Laura and I talked about when we were really young in this process was we used the phrase, it's a new normal. Every day was a new normal.
Well said.
And we just couldn't, we talk about routine now, which is really kind of funny, because when you get that diagnosis, for an hour or two, you're just like, oh God, thank God, we know what's happening. And all of a sudden it's like, what are we going to do with this?
What's next?
So everything became a new normal. But with that uncertainty and with that just unknown future came like so much joy sometimes in the learnings that you got from your child. I know that I'm such a better, more patient person because of what we had. The word, I don't like the word endure, but what we, everything that happened during this time. So don't make autism or a diagnosis like the end of your world. Take it as a challenge and do it together, because it's hard, but it's much harder when it's done by one versus than by two.
I just wish everyone the blessing of having a strong marriage, because, we've all seen the statistics, 50% divorce rate or whatever.
Right.
I was just saying to Bob this morning, talking about coming on this podcast about, I've always thought, like, how would that help? And then we'd be divorced and still have a child with autism. But for some people, I guess the stress of it. Yeah. Bob is my biggest support, and I hope that I am his as well. And we're both there for Sam. So, I hope that people have, find that strength in their spouse and their family. Something that was said to me, or I read somewhere, that I think is important to remember, that when you walk in to get that diagnosis, you may come out with one, but you're walking out with that same child. It's so scary, like, oh my God, now I have a child with autism instead of just having a child.
Still the same young man.
But they are still the same person. They still love you. They still need you. They still trust you. Try not to get caught up. I mean, yes, we're going to use that diagnosis to learn and to look at research and to all that, but it's just a way of categorizing his behaviors or his symptoms or whatever. And I don't know, it just becomes, like Bob said, you're normal, and it's not that it's not, some days you hate it. I'm not one to say that I think it's a blessing to have a child with special needs. We have found the blessings within it, the friends we've met, the strength we have gathered facing this together as a family, but it is still very tough. But I also say, my favorite word is hope. There is always hope. And Sam continues to improve. And the doctor always said he's going to continue to learn and to be more communicative. And like just our most recent appointment, he said, I feel like he's talking to me now more than he ever did. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I don't see that. But so, I mean, there's always hope. And you just have to, looking back, I wish I could have known how well he would have done. I was so scared, terrified. What if he can't go to school? What if he has to have had some really rough appointments with neurologists who were not very, very kind, and Sam had a very hard time, and they were very negative, and you better figure this out, like he needs some real therapy here, or he's not going to be able to do well in school, or I don't know, it's very tough times. But there's always hope, and you have to always be that strength for your child, and they will be your strength. I mean, Sam has done things that I'm just like so proud of him now. I mean, always so proud, because it's a tough road, tougher for them than anyone else. You get caught up in your own, well, my life has changed, but really, when I think about the things he faces and how hard just typical routine things are for him, and he does them. Now he has a job, and he goes to a day program, and he does volunteer work. I would not have seen that when he was, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. He is a happy person. We are raising 2 very happy sons, and, different paths for sure, but I am no more proud of my son who has a really good job and a wife and that kind of future than I am for Sam, because they just have different paths, and so just love them. Just
thank you so much for sharing, Laura. How about you, Bob? Did you want to share anything else?
The only thing I will say is 2 things. One, Laura and I are, we're always concerned, whatever, but it feels like we underestimate Sam. Like, because every time we're so worried about something, whether it's flying on a plane or doing something else, we're like, oh my Lord, how is this going to be, whatever. And that kid just always beats our expectations. So don't underestimate your kids, or if you do, just be prepared for some really happy moments, and make sure you celebrate those, because
celebrate the joys.
It is out there, and like I said, it's a hard road a lot of times, but celebrate those moments, because you're gonna see them. There are gonna be a lot of them, but just don't take them for granted.
Well said. Is there anything else, Laura, you want to say, or Bob?
No.
It's something we didn't talk about?
Next podcast.
Sure
Next podcast. I'm going to invite you back, I think.
I think you hit the highlights. Yeah.
There's a lot more to talk about.
Find your good people. Just, there is joy to be had. Just hang on for the ride. Yeah.
Every family who joins us reminds us that while unexpected paths can be challenging, they can also lead to connection, resilience, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Our hope is that something you heard today, whether a lesson, a moment, or a feeling, stays with you and supports you on your own journey. You're not alone on your path, and we're honored to walk alongside you. If today's conversation resonated with you, we invite you to follow the podcast, share it with someone who might need encouragement, or reach out to us to tell us your story. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, we grow stronger when we travel together through it.